Anthony Toop has arrived. I don't know who sent me this. It says, don't mention my name.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up.
Where does it say that?
It just says, don't me think my... No, don't mention. But what did you send me something? And what was it that you sent me that I'm not supposed to mention? Give me a ring and tell me what that's about. Please, quickly. Telephone number if you'd like to talk to either me or the world on the World Wide Web. You can call 0491 65 68 60. And Anthony Toop has arrived. How are you, dear boy?
Oh, hi, Jeremy. How you going?
Yeah, good. You're nicely relaxed and retired. I never thought I'd ever see the day that you would give up.
I don't know whether giving up is the right word. I don't think that's the correct word, but it was an opportunity and I took it.
Yeah. What did you do?
Well, the kids came home when I got sick and they've met husbands here and now they're having families here. So how good's that? Silver lining, being sick. Yeah. But so I've had so many people say about, how can you afford to retire or how can you retire, And I'm going, well, it's easy. Just get really crook, get really sick.
Well, you don't look sick. You look very well.
I'm doing okay. I was meant to die 12 years ago, so I'm okay.
Well, good God. But I was talking about your obsession with motorbikes.
Oh, well, I've still got a couple. Yeah.
Well, 12 years ago, you were thinking of dying through some medical thing. But, getting on a motorbike, good God, that's tempting fate, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But we don't get on that often now. Not as often as we used to. We used to be on them all the time. Now with electric bikes, they're just as dangerous. Have you been up the hill from where we are here at the moment, which is the top of Adelaide, in the hills there, Glen Osmond and that. And they have mountain bike riding. And Google it if you want to have a look at some really crazy behaviour. Google electric bike. I'm not sure what I Googled, but what I saw, I was going, oh my God, is that what they do on these things? Well, so this guy was racing downhill mountain bike riding on an electric bike, and he stopped because his handlebars hit the sides of both sides of the track.
And he goes over the handlebars, I would think, wouldn't he?
Well, he didn't because he'd done it plenty of times before, so he had the seat right down. But I was fascinated to see how crazy these guys are. They make us look like kindergarten children.
But it's tempting fate. I know when you're young, very young, you're kind of bulletproof and you don't really think anything is going to kill you. But surely gravity, you've got to understand gravity.
I think when I was on my first trip to America, and I've done quite a few trips to America every second year, the only thing interrupted this one was COVID. Couldn't get in. Couldn't leave, couldn't get in. Oh, mate.
So that's
another story.
If you hadn't been a real estate mogul, you'd have been a travel agent mogul.
Well, we've been to America a lot, and the first trip I came off, and I bounced and I rolled, but I don't think I'd roll. I think I'd just break everything now. I think those days of rolling are done.
No, well, we don't bounce very well when we get to a certain age. The problem seems to be that people get either too active in the garden or they want to change a light bulb and climb a ladder. Never climb a ladder.
Well, ladders are meant to be the major cause for admissions of elderly people. Or older people into hospitals.
It's gravity.
They go up and they grab things and they reach out. Yeah. Mate of mine fell off his, he had a chainsaw, electric chainsaw, and fell off the roof of his place, his holiday house. And you'd all know him if I mention his name, but most people know him, or a lot of people know him because he did own a business, but his kids have taken over his business as well. But he fell off with the chainsaw in his hand, and all he thought about was saving his chainsaw, not saving himself.
But if it's the only thing you can hang on to, I suppose you do.
Well, I guess
all the way down.
All the way down, and it was brand new, so it was an electric chainsaw.
Do you reckon in those years, because they were wonderful years when you were setting that business up and it was going from strength to strength. When I first came here in 1976. The big agent, the big guys, it was a company called Woodham Biggs.
Woodham Biggs. Yeah, I know
Woodham
Woodham
Biggs.
Biggs. They were
big.
huge. And Gaetjens.
Yes.
Quite a few, actually. And B.W. Carey.
Yeah. Now, all of those sort of went by the wayside. I would suggest perhaps that your company had a bit to do with that, because you really took over and became the dominant premier real estate company.
We certainly made an impression, yeah.
You certainly did. Do you ever think in your mind, how was that sort of, kissed on the nose by a fairy, or did bloody hard work?
Just hard work and I think a real thirst for changing things, actually, for the better.
What did you want to change?
Well, I remember... I remember there were gimmick ads run against us by some of the what we call it, the historic old names, and they used to run ads against what we were doing, and the gimmick ads in the paper.
But what were you doing that caused them so much angst?
It was non-stop. I remember...
Well, they didn't like the new kid on the block.
That's right. And around the corner here, we were selling our own home, and it was at the time that they were doing no dummy bids. So we said no dummy bids at this auction. And I thought, I just woke up one morning and thought, well, we can't go carrying on about no dummy bids at Toop and Toop unless we have no dummy bids at our own auction. And that was before the legislation. And do you reckon I got in trouble with the industry for that? Wow.
Yeah, well, I went to an auction. I've always been fascinated by real estate. And,
yes, I know you have.
I can't help myself. But I think it's the best investment that anybody can make. The shares go up and the shares go down, and you've got boards of directors over whom you have really no say and no control. But if you have some dirt, they're not making it anymore. But if you've got some real estate, you can look at it. It's a bit like having an old...
Well, you can use it and you can live in it.
Yes, yeah. And you do have capital gains tax and stuff like that. Old cars, another good investment, because there's no capital gains tax. And you can look at it and within the realms of decency drive it a few times a year. But it's something to show for your investment money.
Yes, well, and something to enjoy, I guess.
Yes.
And particularly, I think, during the COVID period, where everyone was reassessing everything. Yeah. And, this whole baby boomer retirement sort of stuff is, I think, in no small way to do with COVID.
It's changed everything, hasn't it?
It's changed so much. And so now, you go to a tradies, we're talking outside the room here before I came on about trucks and cars and repairs and not being able to even converse with the person that's fixing your truck.
Yeah.
Not being able to explain to them in English, which is meant to be, I thought, our language, but it's not. Yeah. And just trying to explain to them that, no, that's not what I want. I want, X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. Not Y, Z.
Seems reasonable to me.
Well, it's not the way it works anymore.
Why you've always called yourself Anthony Toop? Why didn't you go for something snappy like Tony Toop?
Because 2 single syllables.
Okay.
And it doesn't work.
Okay. As a family business, it must have been a great joy to see it all come together and flourish and become so successful.
It was. We were the national... you probably don't even know this because we stopped bragging about it by then, but we were the national Hall of Famers in real estate. And we were bigger interstate than we were here, actually. In terms of
I didn't know that
brand and that. Yeah,
didn't know that.
Yeah.
If you were running it right now, and you mentioned COVID, and all the changes that has brought about. I saw some figures that indicate great vacancies in city buildings, office buildings.
Yes.
And speculation about how the landlords are going to have to do something, the investors are going to have to do something because there is not the return that they anticipated or counted on. So maybe we turn them into apartments.
Well, interesting you mention that because that's just market forces. But unfortunately, the government have stuck their nose into everything, including the Liberals and the Labors. It's not politically driven conversation, and so I've had calls to go into politics lately, and I say, me and politics, no, we are water and just we know.
But you could bring a new dimension to it. You don't have to fit in with the current.
Well, I think politically you do at the moment, but maybe not in the future. But right now, I think that people. I was listening to the radio, the mainstream radio
the old-fashioned radio,
on the way down, and they're charging now for internet connections.
Oh, they want to get control of the World Wide Web. They would love to get control of this.
Well, they're in the process of trying to do that.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes,
and monetising it. And then they had the discussion about the yes vote, the amount of money that's being thrown around on that. And it's just fascinating.
And you've been a very successful businessman. Why would big business throw its weight and its money in behind the yes vote? Why would they get political with something as stupid as that?
Well, if you hear the podcasts, which you may or may not get time to listen to while you're busy setting up your own gig here. But for example, the money, it's all about money. So 250 million, I think it was quoted by Sam Newman on one of the stations, and was given to the AFL on the proviso that they would provide a stadium or assist the stadium down in Tassie.
Oh, sure.
And that's a lot of money.
They're backing the yes vote. So
that was the decision. Back the yes vote, and we'll give you 250 million towards your
stadium. Well, that's outrageous.
I know, but that's just what you're hearing everywhere. And $100,000 fine and the guy doesn't even know what for. So there's some really weird things happening. And I think the punters out there, the people listening to this at the moment, understand that it's getting more and more difficult to actually find this. Conversations.
Well, you've got to have freedom of thought and freedom of speech, and a means by which you can have your say, and through the telephone or guests, have a broad understanding of people's views,
rather than filtered views and of one or two.
Political correctness that seems to have invaded everything.
Control. Yeah.
People are frightened. They're frightened. It's almost as though, no, it's not that you're offending me. I am angry because I'm taking offence on somebody else's behalf. It's totally bizarre.
That whole thing with what you do with your children, and under certain circumstances, I'm going, that's what I would do. But see, you don't hear that, do you?
Well, I suppose you're not allowed to hear that, but, you will on the court of public opinion for as long as they let me sit here and do it.
Until they do what they did this morning to you.
Well, I don't know that they did it. I think we've just, we had sort of a good day last week, and everything seemed to work just fine. So we were full of optimism, positive thought.
Two separate glitches.
Yeah, two separate glitches all on the one program. But, I accept that. I can imagine back when radio first started 100 years ago, virtually today, commercial radio, I imagine they had many glitches.
Well, I had Toop's TV for 5-6 years. That was one of the innovations, and that was when I was on the board of Port Adelaide. And I said to the board members, I said, look, you're worried about filtering, and that will be your own transmitter. You can nowadays. You can do that.
Yes. Well, we are doing it. I remember some of my fondest memories are those very early Christmas parties that you used to have.
Yes.
Where you were the one. You were the one who got there behind the barbecue and cooked the sausages.
People drinking beer out of bottles.
And your children.
Very basic.
The girls were,
serving the drinks,
but 7 or 8 years old.
And then we had these guys rock up, and they started to tell us we had to have licenses for this stuff, and I go, huh? How come you have to have a license to give someone a bottle of beer? That doesn't make sense to
Why
me.
don't they just pull their nose out of our lives and our business and
Just leave us alone.
just leave us alone? There was a great, I can't remember his name. He was a Liberal Democrat, I think he was. Now, what was his name? Caroline, do you remember his name? He lost his seat, so I suppose there's not a lot of value in his slogan. But his election slogan was, "Vote for me and we'll leave you alone."
Well, I've suggested to numerous parties, not just one, that if they were reward to outcome. So if they were rewarded, so for example, for every new bit of legislation, if they had to get rid of 2 or 3 lots of legislation
Take
each
your pick.
department, so that would very quickly bring it under control. But it's not how it works. They just keep putting layer upon layer upon layer.
Yeah, and bureaucracy upon bureaucracy upon bureaucracy.
And that's costing. And what I can't stand, my personal grudge, is this. This free. Nothing's free.
No, somebody has to pay.
Somebody's paying, and
Somebody has to pay.
is paying for everything. Everything. There's not anything that's free.
But I think there are probably fewer and fewer people putting in. More and more people, the baby boomers, are going to retire, and they're going to be wanting to take it out, not put it in.
The problem is going to come when those 2 plates collide, and I think they're about to. Right at the moment. Well, they're in the process of colliding as we speak.
Yeah, I sometimes think to myself that I'm glad I'm the age that I am. I wouldn't like to be starting out in this world as a young man. I think I've seen, and you and most of us have seen the best of it.
Well, I don't know whether we've seen the best or not, but all I can say is that I got to a stage with the business, and you said, "Why did you retire?" I said, "Well, when you don't understand that you've made a mistake, then I need to retire."
What mistake did you make?
Well, my father, who's passed away 10 years ago or longer, he didn't start the business. Sylvia and I started this business, but he didn't even know that it wasn't okay to pinch girls on the bum. On the bottom.
Well, it's a compliment in some parts of the world.
What it used to be, but it's not now. It's not. I can assure you, it's not now. And I get that, but some of the stuff that like gollywogs and stuff like that were made years ago, I don't get why they're suddenly taboo.
They're not. They're only taboo if you let them tell you and you accept that they're taboo. I just I just don't have a bar of it. It's like this welcome.
Coon cheese.
There's nothing wrong with coon
nothing
cheese.
to do with
Nothing. Mr. Coon.
Absolutely nothing to do with whatever they're pretending it's to do with.
It's nothing.
And by capitulating, all they're doing is doing the popular vote thing.
But why do we capitulate? I mean, common sense and intelligence should trump this political correctness and cancel culture stuff. Surely.
Well, I don't know. It used to, but I don't know whether it does anymore. And fortunately, I just don't get involved. I'm just out.
No, well, I when you say out, when they do this welcome to country stuff. I stand up
to Jetstar and said to them, I couldn't get anything more. I was at the Dish. This is not far away. The Dish. You know, the movie that called The Dish.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And that's at Parkes, Parkes, which is in New South Wales. It's just west of Sydney. It's on the same sort of latitude. Anyway, I said to the girl there, "Why are you running 3 flags?" She looked at me completely bemused that I would ask why they're running 3 flags. So they got 3 flags up. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, I thought we were one country. And she just looked at me sideways. And I'm going, oh, okay. So I get it. And I got written to by the councillors who are trying to do the right thing, presumably, or hope they are, from a place we bought a beach house down in Fisherman's Bay. And it was... they wanted to know our thoughts on, what flag to put in the town. And I'm going, Port Broughton, this is South Australia. And I'm going, well, I thought there was only one flag. It's not one flag. And they suggested that maybe it should be one flag. But, the thing is, it wasn't. They were asking our thoughts of putting 3 flags up. And I'm going, Why 3 flags? 3 of the same flag.
Makes no sense.
And then this Welsh guy that used to work for me now works for Bronte and Jen. He said, why Australians? He said he understood, he's a young guy, he understood why Australians are seen as racist, a racist country. He said, because you're giving too much away to other people and you're not doing it to everyone. And I'm going, that's a very simple explanation. Actually, when you think about that, in depth, that's actually quite a in-depth, very simple analogy. And that is that they're giving money to one section of the community, and it's not their money. It's money.
No. Because their ideology is devoted to a little grab bag of left-wing things like climate change and Aboriginal this, Aboriginal that.
More popular.
Well, I think they're driving an agenda. They want to sort of channel people and our belief and confidence in certain directions, and they're using our money to do it.
That is definitely an issue. And one more comment that, it's along the same lines is I spoke to a guy in Airlie Beach who was travelling around Australia. He's an Adelaide guy and very influential guy. And I said to him, I'm voting no, in the coming referendum. What are you voting? Yes. Why? And I asked him why. And he couldn't answer it. He said, I don't know, but something's got to change.
But it's what you've got to change. The Aboriginal people need a forensic accountant. They don't need a voice because they've had plenty of voices. They're overrepresented in the Parliament of Australia. I mean, the population is 3%, and the number of politicians, members, representatives, that is 11. So they have 5% of the parliament. 3% of the population has 5% of the parliament. Okay, so they're overrepresented. Now, if you want more people in power, you just get them to run for office and do it the way we all do it.
Well,
democratically.
At Sunshine Coast, I was speaking to a guy whose car looked like it had rusted out pretty much. And I said, spending too much time on Fraser Island. Turned out he was actually one of the representatives for the Aboriginals, and I couldn't pick him being Aboriginal, looking at him, so that's how white he was. Anyway, he invited me to my great disbelief, to a forum, Aboriginal guy forum, on protesting the yes vote against the yes to a no vote.
Yeah, well, it's not even
because he said the money that is going to be spent with these few people and they'll vote whichever way they're told to vote, because that is what they're there for, to just clear the way. He said it's carte blanche control for these few people. He said it's just no. It's got to be no.
This is the full 26-page document from the Uluru message from the heart. Not the one pager that the Prime Minister's always talking about, that he's pledged to implement in its entirety. The 26 pages, and it's headed up the Uluru Statement from the Heart. This is it. 26 pages. And it goes through... they've even set up diagrams as to how the Parliament will look. They demand to have a certain area of Parliament House set aside for them. That's apartheid. Separate development, which is what apartheid means. Separate development. And a separate chamber. This chamber that they're going to develop is above the members or the House of Reps and the Senate. So it's above that, has more control, more authority.
Well, it doesn't have to answer anyone except the paycheck.
No, well, look, it's set out here in glorious black and white. Literally, page after page of it.
I can see you've read it thoroughly because you've got marks everywhere.
I have got marks all over, but I don't want to badger people. I just want to encourage people to get a copy of it and to look at it and read it and understand exactly with open eyes.
So how do they get a copy?
Well, you can just go to the Sky News website and download it from the Sky News website. It's there in all its disturbing detail.
Okay, all right. Well, we weren't meant to be talking about this, were we? But anyway,
Well, why not?
But it's a big topic, and I don't know why people aren't talking about it more. And so I spoke to a young guy yesterday about, and he just said, I don't want to be involved in politics. I'm going, oh.
It's not politics, dear boy. It's your country.
Yes, but I'm just saying that was his reaction to
but
it.
He should join the dots and realise that the country's worth fighting for.
Well, it is, but not to us, but not to them.
Oh, God. Okay.
So they haven't had any bloodshed or anything. It's all just been too easy.
Yes, I know.
And I said to Sylvia, I said, look, money can make and ruin lives.
Oh, God, it can, yes.
So
I think the only money...
We were so busy making it for the kids.
Yes.
We forgot about,
The only money people should have is that which they work for. Because that gives it perspective. It gives it value. You know what you have done for it.
I've got endless stories here, Jeremy, which I won't bore your listeners with. But another one is, it's nonstop. So we're in Europe, okay? So you might say fat cat in Europe. Okay, well, whatever. This was, 9 or 10 years ago, 11 years ago, just after, 12 years ago I was sick, so it must have been 10 years ago, about 2 years after I'd sort of recovered. Anyway, we were away, and this guy who doesn't speak English and doesn't read or write any English at all was employed by an employment guy for the vineyard. Anyway, he just jumped on the middle of the night. This tractor fell off and off it. He didn't speak to anyone, just fell off it and hurt himself. Didn't kill himself, but he hurt himself. And then it was Sylvia's fault. And we've got a vineyard manager. We don't even know what blocks are what and when they're harvesting or anything. Huh. We don't know anything, which we probably should.
But you're supposed to take responsibility.
But it's our responsibility. And
it's his responsibility.
What's more, listen, this even gets better. So we got told we had to put work instructions. We said, well, the guy won't be able to read it. Then you have to have it in their language. I'm going, oh, okay. So we've got to have it in their language. And so we have to pay them in their
currency.
No.
In
fact, while you're at it, it's not 10 cents a plant to prune anymore. It's 10 cents or award whatever's the lower, or the higher amount. And so it's just weird. The whole thing's really weird, and they wonder why we're not competitive. And they say we're in a wealthy country. At the moment, we're in a wealthy country. At the moment. But I'm not sure that's going to continue. You can't keep digging up Australia and exporting it and getting paid crazy money for some of these resources.
And we've been coasting in that manner for a long time.
But, we have been. But the signs are that they're sick of it. They're sick of paying.
The lucky country, it is possible to run out of luck. It's possible.
Well, if you keep digging it up and a few people making a ridiculous amount of money on that, that's where I think, personally, I think they should look at, rather than just spending more and more taxpayers' money, there's less and less people paying tax. Mind you, they've moved people off by putting the salaries up. They're trying to... I don't even want to get started. I mean, you've started me on this. I shouldn't really be talking about this.
I think you're...
But it sits underneath everything, all this red tape. So the vineyard manager, who's an academic guy, he's now sick and he's now travelling around Australia because he's sick. And his wife was the finance operator of one of the biggest wineries in the region. Just near us. And anyway, they're travelling around Australia in a cheap vehicle and they sold their own little vineyard, and that's been run by another crowd. And anyway, cut a long story short, he just can't believe the amount of red tape that's got involved with the wine industry. He said, we're competing with New Zealand. He's a New Zealander. Competing with New Zealand, and we're paying the wet tax here. but they're not paying it. Like, and now I'm not sure that's right or not. I really don't care. But it's indicative of everyone you talk to who's got a story to tell.
Doesn't it boil down to the political system whereby we have to start electing people who will take this crazy system on and change it, reform it, improve it?
That's fine, but when you get cameras, everyone's got a camera in their phone now, and you get photographs posted on social media. I think social media's got a lot to answer.
Oh, it's anti-social media sometimes. Not this.
No. Well, the reality is that this is the only way you can deal with it, I suppose. The only way you can get your message out, because you can't say this stuff on mainstream radio anymore.
Well, if the radio station, when I owned my own radio stations, I had great confidence and respect for the opinions of the people I employed, and they were totally entitled to have any say on anything that they wanted to. And that I mean, God, that should be written in blood on all broadcasting licenses, that you should. Management can't take over and say, "I'm sorry, I'm not. You're not expressing my opinion." No, you will express this opinion, or you're out the door. That's censorship.
Well, anyway,
shocking.
You're right. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, you don't have any fight with anyone in this room by the looks of the nodding of their heads.
Well, look, the common sense should rule everything. And the red tape, if that is strangling
everything
in society.
So when we were in business, right, they brought in these taxes which we had to administer. So they didn't have to put anyone in to administer them. And then suddenly administering all of these different things and then get it wrong, and the fines you can't jump over the fines. You go, but how does that work? How is this revenue for you, provided we do the right thing? If we do the wrong thing, you're going to fine us anyway, like crazy fines, like ridiculous fines. And, for example, land tax. And now this is Liberal, right? And everyone say, oh, you guys are Liberal, Labor, basher. Well, here's one for the Liberals. They introduced land tax in our world, in the real estate world. And to this day, they still don't know what land tax to charge anyone because of the stupid formula they came up with. And so there's Lucas, if you're listening, Rob, he used to live at the end of the street, and he's gone on some stupid retirement package because he didn't care.
I know.
But that's.
But who gave them the right to charge? And I can understand rates and taxes simply because somebody's got to pick up the rubbish, and there are things around the neighbourhood, to do things. But for the government to say, well, you own a property, you have to pay land tax. Why do we have to pay land tax?
Because you've got to pay your way.
Well, no, we dig our heels in and say, sorry, that's not the system that we want.
Well, to finish that story, so last year we had our accountants, and they sent us a bill for a couple of grand. And they're good accountants, but they said, oh, God, we've got to go back and speak to the land tax department again, on exactly the same information. Exactly the same. $4,000 to $14,000 for land tax on one of our properties that we had. So we sold it. There goes a rental. And
that's right. That's what'll happen.
Under market at $500 a week.
That's what'll happen.
And that's what's happening. And so then the government step up and say, well, we've got to replace all this. It's just madness. It's just crazy.
I think it's time that the adults took over the classroom, or the animals are running the zoo.
The animals are running the zoo.
But can you imagine anyone coming up with a system called payroll tax?
Payroll tax to tax you for employing people.
Yes,
what are they thinking?
What a wonderful logic! If somebody came down from Mars and you had to explain this to him,
you couldn't.
You couldn't.
They would shake their heads and go, "Oh, look for another planet, thank you." Yeah.
I was saying yesterday on the podcast and the Facebook page that Peter Malinowskis is after some. Well, I suppose a think tank. He's going to put a lot of clever people around the table. I hope he puts the right clever people around the table who will tell him what he needs to know, not what he wants to hear. looking for ways to boost the state, looking for good, bright ideas for South Australia. And I gave him one for free, which was be the first state in Australia to do away with payroll tax. Just do away with it, like Bjelke Petersen did away with death duties. And millions of people flowed into Queensland because there was an advantage. A good competitive advantage. Now, if we became the first state in Australia to do away with payroll tax, mind you, it wouldn't be for long because the others would have to follow. But we would have a huge advantage over the rest of them.
Well, you get known for being innovative if you do enough of it, but you've got to keep doing it.
Well, we've got to keep pushing them to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the right guy to probably talk to about this stuff because at the moment, well, my understanding at the moment is quite logical.
Yeah. Not ideological, but logical. I like that. Yeah.
And so, I'm not a Labor or Liberal basher at all, but certain things happen. And then when the Libs did this stupid thing with land tax, I'm going, what are you thinking? These very people that have given you money to help you along the way are the ones you're punishing. I don't get that at all.
No, it's not logical. It's not logical. But you think about a government that introduces, when you've got the template of what to do and what not to do. When I was first here, there were no poker machines.
And the template was not to induce.
No, you could see in New South Wales what poker machines had done to society, and of course the poorest people, because the whole poker machine thing seems to be punishing the poorest people in the community, not the richest. The richest can maybe afford to gamble, I don't know. But here you had a living, breathing example of what not to do, and what did they do? They legalized them and licensed them. Revenue stream. Yes.
Yeah. So the red tape maybe needs to be looked at. If it were me, I would just. If I told you what I'd do, I'd have any new legislation comes in. That's fine. We'll look at it, but you've got to get rid of 2 or 3 different bits of previous legislation so life gets simpler, not more complicated.
Yeah. We have to do something about unintended consequences.
I think a lot of it, the intentions are you have one person in 500 or 5,000 that plays up and they try to legislate that one person out and that actually creates red tape.
Yep.
And there's unexpected consequences.
Yeah, but there's money probably in coming up with these silly ideas.
Well,
Tony just handed me this. Indigenous man tries to block police from travelling down a public road through Aboriginal land. It's a completely different country, you see.
Well,
the police have no authority.
No, and you need a permit to go into their towns.
Public road.
That's weird.
It's a public road, yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, there's a beautiful mountain up north coast of New South Wales called Mount Warning, and and I think it was actually the Liberal government handed the title to Mount Warning over to the local Aboriginals. The first thing they did,
monetize it.
Well, what they banned all white people, but even worse, for some, I don't know, spiritual reason, even black women were not allowed on the mountain. And it was a wonderful tourist, photographic, wildlife place, popular tourist place. And now what is it? Nothing.
Well, I've got plenty of stories about that, but anyway, we won't go into that. But I can tell you a very current one, Cape York. Now, that's we took 3 friends up and we said, if you don't go up very soon, you will not be able to go to the Cape York, if that's the tip of Australia, in Queensland. And the Jardine River, they doubled the price to cross it because there's crocodiles up there. Well, no, that's not why they
have to pay the crocodiles.
No, but the crossing is about 30 metres, 20 metres, and it was over $200 for us to cross it. About 30 metres.
Where does the money go? Who's charging the money?
I think initially the money was going to go into the community, but none of it's made it. It's all gone to the families.
No.
1 or 2 families, I think, from what I gather. But they've given Queensland the size of Tasmania to the Aboriginals recently.
Well, 55% of the land mass of Australia is owned by, or the Aboriginals have legal title to, 55% of mainland Australia.
Oh, look, I've been up to Cape Leveque, which is above Broome, beautiful part of the world. And we stayed in a resort which has now been closed. That was owned. And the multiple millions of dollars that went into making it, satisfy the requirements of the current expectations of sanity and sanitation and cafes and toilets and everything. And it's just been closed. And you can't go anywhere near it. And next to that is the town where you need a permit to go in it.
Permit to go into the town? Into the town.
But so it says everywhere, no admission unless you get a permit.
And on what basis do you apply for the permit?
Well, you want to have a look. It's next door to Cape Leveque.
And on what basis would they refuse a permit?
I wouldn't have a clue, probably not. But I don't know. We didn't get a permit. We just turned around and I left.
No, I don't blame you.
We had a women's in business function we went to here in Adelaide just recently. And the whole night we heard the politicians speaking about the yes vote. And I'm going, we didn't come for this.
No.
We came, it was a charity event, and we came for a different reason. We went because they thought they were genuine about that charity.
What council was this?
No, this was in the city.
Oh, right. Mitcham Council, apparently, I've been told.
40,000.
Yeah,
400,000.
Yeah.
400, sorry.
It's
40,000, I think, of Great Post money, yeah.
40,000, but they'd already given 10,000, so it's 50,000 in total. $50,000 to the yes vote.
I wonder if they were trying to provoke everyone, because I think that's all they did. They just stoked everyone up. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. People are now whinging about, their roads and the paths and so, well, if you've got that much money to throw around, throw some my way or our way, right. And let's fix this bit of the path.
This is the part of this whole yes-no thing that is divisive.
Oh, it's divisive than when you land anywhere in Australia and you hear the welcome to country. And someone on radio this morning on the way down from the farm, we're talking about, why do I have to put up with that? What's all that about? Why am I welcoming to my own country every time I fly in a frigging plane?
Yes.
So I said to the hostess a while ago when I took one of the flights, I said, this is very divisive. This is just and she's
and irrelevant.
It's got nothing to do with anyone, but maybe the politicians, I don't know. But it's certainly got nothing to do with us. And I don't know why they're politicising air traffic unless they were given money. And it's not given their money, it's given our money to them.
But maybe they get concessions or something from the government, and the government says, well, you'll do this. Or
based on Sam Newman's conversation.
Or we'll come around and check all the engines. Yeah. And guess what? We're going to find trouble.
We're going to find problems.
Problems, yes.
Yeah.
Well, then we need public companies to stand up and say that they are being blackmailed or they're being...
But that's not the way to get the money. The way to get the money is just nod their head and say, yeah, we'll do that.
Well, it's the way to lose the country.
Well, the country is disappearing right before our very eyes. So,
well, we've got to dig our heels in and stop it.
Well, I don't know.
Listen to this, Anthony. Listen to this. An Aboriginal man has tried to stop a pair of police officers from entering Indigenous land by using his car to block off the public road. Bruce Magadata Shillingsworth, a proud Marawari man, confronted the officers in the outback New South Wales town in a video posted on social media this week. We've got the police here. What's happening? They're going out of their way to enter our land. Our land. It's our country. One person's country.
No. That there was. I mean,
Thanks,
we've
Tony.
been atop of Ayers Rock. I've settled. Oh, it's not Ayers Rock. Ulari's Rock, and I thought that was part of Australia too, but it's not. You can't climb the top of that anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, we've got to stop this nonsense because it's not going to benefit, because the vast majority of people who are putting money into the coffers of this government, if we stop doing that, if we see no good reason to do it anymore,
they'll run out of money.
But the Aboriginals won't get their $35 billion a year plus land rights.
I don't think that the Aboriginals as a collective group are interested in what's going on at the moment at all.
No, so the activists, and surely they're not numerous enough to be a problem against the entire common sense population of the country.
I think this apathy of the young that haven't had any trials or tribulations, haven't had any real skin in the game, is what they're relying on. And that's all the, 18, the voting age, 18 to 25 probably.
I wish I could find it. A lady sent me a thing about this Welcome to Country business where she went through all of the...
it's on every single building. So I took photos of it down in Western Australia. And it was on the tourism. It was on their Welcome to Country on their tourism doors.
Yeah.
Like it was just everywhere. Everywhere you went, it was Welcome to Country. I go, hang on a minute. So I'm a visitor in this country. Is that what you're really trying to say?
That's what they're trying to say.
Well, that's what they are saying, actually. That's not what they're trying to say. And I'm going, but I'm not a visitor. I was born and bred here, paid a huge amount of tax, which is, and one of the reasons we've got properties in Queensland is the amount of money going in up there is unbelievable. It's just incredible. Just roadworks. You go up the Bruce Highway, and which goes all the way up to the top. And honestly, it is a nightmare because of roadworks. And it's not little roadworks, it's huge roadworks. And I'm going, where's all this money coming from? Because I know how much it costs to put a road in, and it's very expensive because we've got 2 kilometres of bitumen, very narrow, one strip up to the, and we had to negotiate very hard a long time ago for that, to get that at that price. So these are millions, multiple millions of dollars. And so where's all this money coming from?
Well,
where's all this money coming from?
Well, I'd like to know where it's going.
Well, you can see where it's going. You just need to travel a bit. And years ago, in 94, we went around Australia with the kids. And even then, they burnt out cars everywhere. And if you speak to the car guys, in fact, you should respect my neighbour who's got stations. His family have stations. And he's saying the secret women's business, secret men's business that everyone goes on about is really secret because of what they do at them.
Yeah. Look, I'm prepared to believe that. There was a story around this morning about a busload of kids, Alice Springs, a busload of kids, all under the age of 12. They literally hijacked the bus, 2:00 in the morning, stole the bus, and they were driving around Alice Springs, yelling and screaming, and eventually the police had to spike the tyres,
to stop the bus,
get in the bus, arrest the kids.
Which would have got thrown out of court immediately.
Oh,
which reminds me of a broom story. Do you want a broom story?
Yeah, give me the broom story.
Okay, so we're in this little hotel, just cheaper than we Broome has got a couple of really lovely, did have tourists, nice tourist spots.
Beautiful spot.
Anyway, this ex-Adelaide one, not far from the main game up there, not far, walking distance, was telling us, lock your doors. And so why would we lock it? Make sure you lock your doors and take your key with you, because they've got these young Aboriginal kids that done over 200 robberies because they're so young and the police just waiting for them to turn 18 before they can touch them. Yeah. And I go, but that's wrong.
Of course it's wrong, because they'll...
It's teaching them really bad things.
As the twig is bent, so shall grow the tree. By the time they're 18, they will be hardened criminals. Yeah.
Well, they won't turn 18 before they stop doing this, but,
No.
well, I don't know, actually.
I had a listener who used to ring me from Tennant Creek, and the stories he would tell me were just amazing.
I don't think for a second there hasn't been the wrong thing done by these guys. Our forefathers, perhaps, or their forefathers, probably that far back. But they're trying to open that can up now and pointing a finger in the bone, or if you like, at us. And I'm going, but hang on, we're bystanders in all this.
We didn't do it.
But you don't hear any of that. No.
No, there's no balance and there's no logic being applied to it. It's just sort of a group think.
Yeah, and this guy that's very influential in Adelaide telling me that I don't know why I'm voting yes, but I'm going to vote yes. And I'm going, but aren't you a thinker? No, well, I can't get any details, so but something's got to change.
Yeah,
I'm going,
when in doubt, don't.
When in doubt, especially the Constitution,
Don't.
And so the local Labor Party here was telling me at the variety show that that they don't understand either. And so they've put it through on legislation. If it doesn't work out, they can change it, which is a lot more smarter than constitutional changes, which you can't change.
But I think they pulled the local legislated voice thing. I think they pulled that because what did Peter Malinowski say? He said it is going to confuse the referendum. Now, I don't think. Yes, it is going to confuse because you've got far too many people thinking they're either going to be involved in the voice or angry because they're not involved in the voice. You've got 400 separate clans and tribes in Australia, and you're not going to be able to satisfy all of them with equality. Clearly, there are going to be some people, powerhouse or prime movers in all of this, who are going to be overrepresented. The little guy and the little woman, they're not going to be represented. Let me read you this from Lynette, a new version of the Welcome to Country that I would like to have implemented. It says, I would like to pay my respects to elders past and present, to the Italian elders who built our roads, railways and telecommunications and infrastructure, to the Greeks and the Turkish elders who are giving us tasty gyros and kebab shops, to the Jewish elders who gave us all the Westfield shopping centres and Meriton apartments,
and so on.
And to the Chinese elders who gave us all the $2 shops, and to the Irish elders who gave us all great Irish pubs and Irish whiskey, and to all the Asian elders who have given us nasi goreng, dim sims, sweet and sour pork, short soup. I'm getting carried away. I put some of that in there. Let's celebrate their accomplishment and contributions to the country. And I think, Lynette, I told you I'd read it out. I think that's very clever and very right.
Yeah, well, my wife is Swiss-Polish, and she said, so when do the Swiss and the Polish get an opportunity to have a voice?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So, it's just flaunt with it can't happen.
Yeah.
And which is why I guess I'm on today, really, Jeremy, is that some of the stories and some of the things you see with your own eyes and you just go, what are they thinking? What are they thinking?
The trouble is they're not thinking.
No, they're just very short-sighted. It's about what happens in 4 years' time when the election comes up. Will the unemployment be down? Will the rates be down? Will people be in less pain? Will they vote for me? That's it.
Well, again, you've got the short-term thinking because everything is from 1 year to the next in terms of the budget. Yeah. 1 year. And if it's not that, it's the political cycle. It's either 3 years or it's 4 years. And they're not going to think out nation building or forward over the horizon stuff because they're not going to be there to benefit from it or even to be penalized for it. So it's just short term, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's why China's, and what's going on in Russia and Ukraine at the moment is so dangerous is that, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, they do get things done.
They do, and because you can't really tie yourself down with this endless debate and like the Kimber thing with the repository for the nuclear waste. I mean, by the time you talk to everyone and get everyone's opinion, you're never going to satisfy everybody. And obviously the Chinese Communist Party have a more, well, what can I call it, direct approach.
Well, I don't agree with handing it over, but, when things like that's going on at the moment happen, you go, oh, God. Just save me, please.
There's endless waste of time and debate and all the rest of it.
Money and
you'd make a good politician.
Oh no, would I?
You would make a good politician.
Terrible politician. I think the politicians that are in power need to not be looking forward to more power. I think they should be already just well set up, and they're doing it because they believe in it, not because they want the recognition or the table one at everything and, everything for nothing. And you only have to look locally and, oh, God, some of the rorts and that go on, it's just terrible. Just terrible.
Don't we have a sort of an ICAC that's supposed to look after things like corruption?
That's just another body of people all on big payrolls to make sure that everyone that's paying them is happy.
Yeah. What I loved about that story, you familiar with the Gladys Berejiklian story in New South Wales?
No.
Well, she was the Premier, very good Premier, and
I knew that.
She had a romance with this guy, the member for Wagga, I think it was, Maguire. Anyway, I won't go into a character analysis of the bloke, but anyway, they attacked her because of certain things that they thought the Premier had been in favour of in that electorate because of her relationship. And I think even within your own party, you've got people who want to bring you down. There's jealousy everywhere. Anyway, they did bring her down. They had the ICAC investigate her. 2 years, this is after they ruined this woman's life, 2 years after they came up with the conclusion that she had committed serious, what was it called? Oh, I don't know, serious... corrupt behaviour, I think it was. Serious corrupt behaviour. And they had the opportunity to refer the whole thing off to the DBP. And when asked why they weren't going to send off this awful charge about this nice lady, maybe a naive lady when it came to matters of the heart. But anyway, oh no, we can't put this to the Director of Public Prosecutions because we don't have enough evidence. We don't have enough evidence. We've got enough evidence to ruin her life, but we've got no evidence to charge her with anything. That's okay.
I hate. I mean, I really should get off this microphone, Jeremy, because
Johnny Cash is going to sing us out.
I think this is slasherist stuff. No.
Well, anyway.
But the only thing you can do is look forward and go, well, looking forward. Is it yes or no? That's probably
I think it's the major thing that's confronting us.
And then how much money has gone into? I think there should be an inquiry into how much money.
Yes.
It's just been wasted.
And then where did the money go?
And then who paid?
Yeah.
And the biggest payers.
Follow the money. Always follow the money.
Yeah.
Anyway, a good time.
Nice to see you.
No, it's wonderful to see you. God bless you and good luck with everything you do.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you.
It's really nice to have you on the show. Now, I'm going to find Johnny Cash because somebody said you should finish the show with the song that you finished the show with when I was at AA, because it says it all from my point of view anyway, from me to you. Thank you very much for being with us. We'll be on Facebook next week with the Court of Public Opinion from the Garage, and that'll also be on podcast. Thank you for listening. Believe in yourself, and bye for now.